Welcome everyone to my investment portfolio update in October 2025 as a 25-year-old. And I'll be running through my portfolio performance, what accounts I use to invest, and what I'm keeping an eye on. First of all, let's talk about the market because what a great year it's been. I'm pretty sure everyone's portfolio is in the green right now, with the market up over 16% this year alone, and even the FTSE 100, which tracks the UK market, is up almost 17%. And that's great to see because it usually lags behind the US. With inflation on the decline in some of the biggest regions and the International Monetary Fund forecasts that this is going to steadily decrease over the next few years, and on top of that, reducing interest rates. These two things generally help give the stock market a push and could be a couple of the reasons why we've seen this positive run. And before we jump in, I'm a qualified accountant with tons of finance experience, but I'm not a financial advisor. So please make sure you do your own due diligence and research before you invest. So jumping straight into my Vanguard account, which makes up the bulk of my portfolio, and that's currently at over £61,000 with a personal rate of return of 130%. And just this year alone, I've earned £9,000, which is a 20% return. And this is a really positive return, but it's something I'm actually a little bit surprised about given the uncertainties right now with the US government shutdown, tariff wars, and so many other things. So let's see how long this positive run lasts. As you can see, the S&P 500 is my largest holding, which makes up £33,000 of my portfolio. This is currently split across two investments because I made the mistake of when I initially started investing, it was going into the distributing fund. And essentially what that means is that when they pay dividends, it gets paid to me in cash, but I personally want to maximize my compounding growth. So therefore, I want dividends to be reinvested. And to do that automatically, you can just purchase the accumulating fund, which are the only funds that I currently buy. And in total, if we sum up the return for those two separate S&P 500 funds, it's currently generated me over £10,000 return. On to my next largest investment, and that is the LifeStrategy 80% equity funds, which currently has £10,000 has returned me just over £2,000. What I like about this fund is it's split 80% to equities and 20% to bonds. Personally, where I'm at in my investment journey, I don't think I need any more exposure to bonds than this. It's something that I might consider increasing as I get a little bit older, since bonds are considered less volatile and a safer investment. But as of right now, I'm very much equities heavy. And so I think that 80-20 split really works for me at the moment. And I do have some other smaller investments in my account, like the small cap index and the emerging market index. These tend to be more volatile funds and are rated higher risk because of the exposure they have to certain geographies and certain companies. So for that reason, I generally allocate a smaller portion each month to these investments. So even though they are smaller investments, we can see that over the last few years, they still have performed relatively well. But honestly, I see my Vanguard account as my low risk investing because I'm investing across different companies, different industries, and even different parts of the world. And I intend to invest in these funds for a long period of time, ideally without withdrawing any of the money. So hopefully that should provide me with enough diversification and a long enough investment horizon to hopefully ignore any of these short-term dips. Next, onto my Trading 212 account, which is definitely my riskier form of investing. Again, I'm not a professional investor, but I do like to keep an eye on the market and see if there are any discounts or cheap buys that I could potentially get into. I won't run through my entire Trading 212 portfolio because I've got about 8 to 10 stocks that I'm invested in and also got my eye on a few others. So if that's something that you'd like me to run through in a bit more detail, or you're just curious as to why I picked a certain stock, then be sure to drop a comment below. And as we can see, in this account, I have just under £20,000. And over the last year alone, it's generated me over £5,000, which is over a 45% return. So probably a couple lucky picks in there. So if we sum my Vanguard and my Trading 212 account, that brings my portfolio to just over £80,000. And so that, guys, is my October 2025 portfolio update. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you did, be sure to drop a like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.